Okay, so I've got something on the bench that many long-term viewers of the channel might recognise. It's the Firebird that I made probably going back 3 years ago now, maybe even a little bit longer. And this has been a great little guitar for me. I always enjoy playing it. There's some idiosyncrasies with a Firebird that make it kind of different to play to most guitars, and we can get into that in a little while. I'm doing a few repairs. I'm catching up on a few odd jobs at the moment in the shed, primarily because I've had a guitar build on the go constantly now for over 4 years, and to be honest, I could do with a little bit of a break. I could just do with a little bit of time to do some other stuff, decompress a little bit, and to get my next major build planned and prepared. So to that end, I'm going to be doing a few repairs. I'm going to be doing a few little different videos, stuff that you might not normally get from this channel, but hopefully you'll enjoy nonetheless. It's all going to be guitar related, so don't panic. In terms of this guitar, it needs a clean, it needs some fresh strings, and it needs some investigation work because I picked it up the other day and it had gone from working perfectly to working perfectly in the neck position to not working that well in the bridge position. Now you might not be able to hear it because it's so quiet, but there is some output, but not much. And that's kind of got me puzzled, because normally what happens in these situations is it'll either work or it won't. It'll either be okay, or there'll be a short somewhere which will stop it from sending any signal out whatsoever. So for it to be much quieter like that has got me puzzled, I'll admit it. I don't know what I'm looking at. So what I'm probably going to do is just take some readings and then we'll dig into this and see where the problem lies. Now my big fear is that this pickup's gone bad somehow, but there's a pretty easy way of testing that, and that is to just get a multimeter set onto like a 20 kilo ohm setting and just apply it to the other end of the jack plug that's obviously plugged into the guitar, and on the neck position I'm getting 6.4 kilo ohms, and then if I switch it to the bridge I'm getting 5.98. Now normally you would have your bridge pickup just a touch more powerful, because the neck pickup, the strings move further over it because of their location, which means there's a kind of a stronger force applied to the pickup, which makes it more powerful. In this case, this one's slightly more powerful than this one, but it's not kind of massively so. But what that shows us is that both pickups are outputting about the same. I'm not actually sure what these mini humbuckers should be outputting. I'll do a quick bit of research and get back to you. Okay, just done a quick Google and there's a range, but it's not uncommon for kind of like a Gibson style mini humbucker, kind of the original, to be at around about the 6K mark. So we're pretty much spot on in terms of the readings. So I think next up is we need to get a screwdriver out and start breaking this down a little bit. Now there's a couple of places where we can look at the wiring. There's this scratch plate on the front which covers some, and then there's a control cavity on the back where the pots are. But we'll just drop this out first and see if we can have a poke around and make anything happen. I will be perfectly honest with you, it's been that long since I did this thing. I can't actually remember how I did the wiring. I know it's not the standard Firebird wiring because I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do a kind of a more standard Les Paul type wiring setup. And then just loosen the switch off. We can remove that. I think we can see there the pickup wires run back into the control cavity, and then from there they kind of run back up this multi-core cable to the switch. All looks okay. What I'm going to do is plug it into the amp and see if just doing that has made any difference. And the answer is no, and there doesn't seem to be anything going on with any of these wires. I can jiggle them about and it's exactly the same. So with that done, I'm going to whip off the cover on the back and see if we can see anything there. Let's try forward 4 screws in here. Time to break out suction pig. And there we can see pretty standard 500k CTS pots, orange drop caps, so nothing out of the ordinary at all there. And if I break out the multimeter, you can see the hots going into that first lug there from this pickup. Interestingly, that's only given me 3 kilo ohms. If I go to this one here, which is the neck pickup, that's also given me 3. So I don't know what's going on there. I think what I'm going to do is I am going to break out the soldering iron. I'm going to unsolder the pickup wires, and then I've got a test rig that I can use to kind of just take them direct to the amp and see what that gives us. Okay, so I've just pulled these wires through out of the control cavity, and again just clip them onto there, and then I've got an output jack attached to that. So this is the neck pickup, which works fine. Okay, so now we know that one works. I've done the same and I've wired up this one, and we have a working pickup. Seems to be working just fine. So I'm gonna have to get my thinking cap on a little bit here, so bear with me. We check the switch, all seems to be working fine. Can't see anything wrong with it in terms of the wiring, and it works. So it's probably not the switch. It's not guaranteed to be not the switch, but it's probably not the switch. The pickups work independent of the controls, so it's not the pickups. It's got to be the controls. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to reflow all the joints on the volume and the control pot for this pickup, and then I'm going to reattach the pickups and see what we get then. Be right back. And basically, if you're not kind of familiar with this process, reflowing is literally just kind of reheating the solder joint, melting the solder and letting it kind of form a good connection again. And it might be that we've just got a bit of a weak connection on here. Reflowing it will bring it back. I'll do the tone pot as well. Okay, so that's all of that sorted out again. So I'm going to just quickly reinstall these wires from the pickups off camera, and then we can see if we've made any difference. Okay, so that's all rewired, and I've just put the pick guard back on just to kind of keep everything together. To be honest, the hardest part of that was getting the cables back through into the control cavity. Just had to pop this pot out to do it, but let's just have a quick test and see what's happened. So we're in the bridge position. All good. Middle. Yeah. And neck, we've also got, it appears we've solved that problem, and it was just a matter of reflowing those controls, which seems to have done it. So a little bit of detective work there to get that done, but we've sorted it out. So I'm going to just flip this over off camera, get the cover back on. We can get some strings on this and just get it set up. And this should be relatively straightforward because we've got locking tuners on this one, so that does make things a lot easier. Got a set of Ernie Ball Hybrid Slinky's my string of choice. And we'll just get to loosening these off. Give them a snip. Loosen the locks off. Just pull them out. Get some new ones in. Okay, strings on, up to tune. So again, just a few very quick checks on setup. I'm going to start off with the neck relief. I'm looking for around about 10th hour here. We're a little bit under that, so just going to back this truss rod off ever so slightly. Give it another check. And that is spot on. And then while we've got it upright, we'll just have a look at the string action. It's just a touch over 1.5 mil on the low E string, and similar on the high E string, which is kind of pretty much where I like them to be. So that's all good. And the next thing is we just need to do some quick checks on intonation. That was good. That showed slightly sharp at first, but then it dropped back to tune. Same with that one. Ever so slightly sharp. Spot on. So that string was slightly sharp, so what I've had to do is push the saddle back just a little bit to make the string longer, which will then bring it into tune. Same with that one, just ever so slightly sharp. The intonation on this was pretty good before, but sometimes the strings can just change that slightly. Spot on. So I'm happy with that. Action's good, neck relief is good, intonation's spot on, and the pickups are now working as they should. So got this guitar back how I like it. And just to finish off, I think I will plug this back into the amp with just a little bit of dirt on to see what it sounds like. It's all plugged in and working beautifully. Very happy with that. It's all kind of come back together now, and I think that's sounding really, really good. Now, I did mention at the beginning of the episode that I kind of like this guitar because it kind of forces you to play a little bit differently. And the reason I say that is because of the way it sits, especially when it's on a strap, just because of the shape of the body really, everything seems to have been moved this way a little bit. So where your hand naturally falls, for me, it's usually at the kind of nut position. But because this guitar's shifted over a bit, you tend to fall higher up the neck. So it just kind of encourages you to do different stuff in a different position on the guitar. And that's not a bad thing at all, because it kind of encourages you to do different things, experiment a little bit. So for that reason, I enjoy this guitar. I also enjoy it because it just sounds nice when it's working properly. Just Firebirds in general, I think, just look amazing. So very, very happy and glad to get this one back in full working order. So realistically, we've only got one thing to do now, snip off the end of those strings and we're up and running. But I'm going to leave this one here. I think we've covered enough ground today. I'm going to be back in a few days' time, and as I said earlier on, I'm going to be doing some slightly different things in the next few episodes. So until then, don't forget to like if you've enjoyed this, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.